Hello YouTube, I'm the Narrabin, and today I want to talk about torture in gaming in general, beginning with something I experienced yesterday and in video gaming, and then I want to go over to torture in role-playing games. But let's start at the beginning. Yesterday I watched a Let's Play video. For those not familiar with this, it's basically gameplay footage someone recorded while playing a game, and is usually with the commentary of that person. So I watched a Let's Play of Grand Theft Auto 5, and in this video game there is a mission where two of the three main characters are forced by blackmail to kidnap someone, and then one is blackmailed to torture this person to get information out, and the other is forced to assassinate someone based on that information. So, what is interesting is the depiction was brutal. Also the as a viewer, you are not given any doubt that this person is innocent, that is being tortured. Nonetheless, the two main characters, true to themselves, comply to the blackmail. Because basically both of them have killed in the past, and they are not above doing so again to save their own hides. So, based on this, or rather, there's no story reason why they shouldn't. So, what is interesting about this? Usually when torture happens in gaming or in videos and so on, you have no interaction with it. You are merely an observer. What they did here is you have to actively press buttons while the torture is in action. You don't have to do quick time events or anything, and no button combinations. You just have to hold the buttons. So you cannot wash away the conscience that it's just happened in a cutscene and you had no influence over it. You have influence. You can choose not to progress further in the game. Simple as that. You can say this is horrible, that you have to participate in torture to advance in a game. And on the one hand, that would be right. On the other, I think it's very, from an artistic viewpoint, it's very, very good and well done. Because this is something we, as people living in our world, do all the time. We know that Guantanamo is out there, and basically we do nothing about it. And we maybe get a bit... let's switch here. I'm going off on a tangent. Anyway, the information that is gained by this torture is basically that the person we seek, or they seek, is someone of middle age, middle height, middle build, who smokes, is left-handed, and has a beard, and that he lives in a multi-story building, in a certain multi-story building. And based on that, someone is assassinated. The torturee, the tortured person, anyway, is basically his heart gives out during the torture, and he's been brought back to life using an adrenaline shot. Whether that's realistic or not, I don't know. And afterwards the blackmailing party decides that this person is a liability now, so go off and kill him. Which the primary character, or the character that's played by the player, is opposed to. Not because he wouldn't mind, because he minds killing someone. It's just because he doesn't like being told to do something by the government. The blackmailing, by the way, is done by the Rockstar equivalent of the FBI. So, and he brings the tortured person to an airport to fly him off into the sunset. At least that's what I think. I have to see the next episode to know for sure. I wouldn't put it past him to put the poor guy through an engine or something. Anyway, and he he talks to the tortured person, which he himself tortured, and tells him, you should bring out your message, that torture doesn't give us anything, that no valuable information is gained by torture, and that it's only there to bring pleasure to the torturer, or satisfaction. And that's interesting because as far as I think that's a good message, even though it's of course on one of two sides on the topic. I mean, there's obviously if you have seen 24, you know that there also is media out there that tells you that torture, even if unpleasant, is a necessary evil and brings results that can be exploited, and most of the time you get the right person, and even if you don't, they probably still know something that's important. So even though I like 24, I never really got their stand on torture. And then of course a show that had a similar stance on torture was Lost. In Lost, most of the time when someone was tortured, it was the wrong person. They didn't know anything, or they were tough enough not to give any information away, or they even managed to get out a lie. And when something was information was gained by torture, it was disbelieved. So obviously these shows had agendas, and obviously GTA 5 has an agenda in this regard. At least they could have. Maybe the agenda is just making money, and this social criticism is good for their bank accounts. I don't know. Anyway, this whole thing led me to think about this and how torture is handled in RPGs. And to quote in another medium is the game is 2, Darkness Rising, in which we have 2 torture scenes. Both of them are handled rather juvenile. In one, the victim is placed in a chair, bound, and then they go Hadouken on him until he is dead without having given away any information. And the second is using holy water on a deaf demon so he will give away information. Also, I remember recently seeing a live stream, or not a live stream, a former live stream, recording of one, of a gaming session where the player characters battled a bunch of goblins, managed to capture one of them alive. Then they tortured him a bit to get information out of him, without getting too much into details in playing. I mean, they did the brutal details of the torture. It was just rolling and a bit of squealing by the GM, but not too much. Nothing, and because it was done in a goblin voice, something very cartoonish, it came over rather as funny. And once they had their information, someone said, okay, so I'll kill him, and the whole thing was done. The killing itself was not played out, not the fear of the victim, nothing like that. And I feel that leaving these details out that's the danger, not having these scenes in. If you, in a medieval setting, torture is very real. In Inquisition, when someone is prosecuted by the Inquisition, for example, then you can bet your ass that a couple of people will be tortured. And that's just one example of medieval justice system at work. So in any fantasy setting you will probably have one or another torture scene if you have criminal investigations and such. And I think by leaving out the horrendous details of torture, by not playing out the pain, the fear, the pain, the fear, the anguish, the overall gut-wrenching nature of torture, you leave something out, something very important out. Yeah, so I would like for you to tell me, how do you see it? Do you even want torture scenes in your stories? I mean, you can of course always say, always take the whole topic away, and in some games that's even it's even laid in that you it's the rules allow you to move around it. For example, in Vampire the Masquerade game, there are so many disciplines that allow you to question someone without using physical torture that you probably won't need any scenes of torture. And in many settings you probably have some kind of magic that allows for the same effect. So you can move around the subject of torture if you want, or choose a system in which you can. But those of you who do not, how do you handle it? Do you act out every detail? Do you rely on rolls? Happens everything just like that, or do you give a summation about what happens? How much influence do your players have on it, on the outcome? And how much influence has the victim? Does he have the chance to mislead the torturers, or if they torture someone, is there a chance that they have the wrong person? Or because otherwise it would be something nasty that's happening, you do something behind the scenes to swap the guy they got out for the real person. Not the real, the right person. So, thank you for watching. If you have any responses, please feel free. You may have seen at the beginning, I will have in all my future videos a section where I put links to any video responses that might pop up. Yeah, so if you have any comment, please feel free. I'm the Nerobin. Thank you for watching.